Why is that music so good?
It's so epic.
Why is it so good?
It's so good.
Oh my God, you have a fisherman on the screen. I just saw that. Refresh, everybody. Refresh.
Fissure quest.
Refresh to fish.
For the Fissure quest.
There we go. There we go.
Refresh, refresh, refresh.
Hi, everybody. Hi, space besties.
Hi.
We hope you guys have had a fun, fantastic week. What's new in your world? What are you guys doing? What are we looking forward to? And how is your preparation for holiday season coming? I have just spent the last several days making sure that I have a plan for Christmas presents, because I'm always a last minute Christmas present purchaser. And you have to think ahead.
Really fast.
I did, didn't I? This year I decided to look at the delivery date and order on time. Go me.
Mm-hmm.
But I also still do not know what to get a couple of people. So I'm in that place where
I'm
God
so easy
damn
to
it,
buy me for.
I wish that it would be a natural thing and you don't have to force the purchase of a gift, because it doesn't feel as genuine. But I want to see, my dad open something on Christmas Day. I think that's a special experience. And so, what does he want?
Chap. So it's fun to make him smile with something.
I feel like I also, maybe this year I should, buy a gift certificate so that somebody mows his yard for an entire summer.
What if he really enjoys mowing the yard?
That's exactly it.
Yeah, I would.
He might think that's a waste of money and be stressed.
Yeah, because he's got that reminder that, man, this person is on my property doing something that I could do better.
Socks.
No, they wouldn't do it as good as him.
So I did get him a pair of silly socks. I found these socks on Amazon, and they're animal hoof socks. So it's just their socks, probably cheap, but they have printed different kinds of animal feet on them. Like a deer, a chicken, a zebra. So
I'm gonna shatter a misconception here.
Wah, wah, wah. Nice one, Dave.
We do not like socks as presents. We don't.
You're not a dad. You don't know.
Men get socks for presents so much. I get socks every year. I don't appreciate them. I don't like them. Here's another thing. I don't wear them. There is one type of sock that I wear. I just keep buying it again and again. I can speak on behalf of everybody confidently. We do not like socks as Christmas presents.
Oh, man.
That is true. We do like gadgets.
I got him it as a silly gift. I want him to take his shoes off and put on silly socks, because I think it would be hilarious to watch.
So then he should buy you socks for himself then, because this is a gift for you.
Yes.
You want to experience
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, you just bought yourself a gift.
I'm doing this for me. So I want to get something for him.
Yeah.
But he's also somebody that I always get gadgets for, And I don't want to think about practical stuff, but what would he really love?
He would love, what would he love?
I know. It's a big one.
Headphones.
All right. We are really distracted by your hair. Can you give a hair update? We've got some hair concern.
So many questions. I am currently experimenting with growing my hair again. This is something I haven't done since I was 21.
Which was 70 years ago.
Shut up, which was a long time ago. And yeah, I'm just like, let's go and let's get it a bit longer. But this week, what I've done is I've put an Alice band in, a hairband, and like pushed it back because it was really annoying me. So I've pushed it back, so I've got like a lot more like hair at the back. But yeah, it's not like kind of down and out. So it looks shorter just because I've slicked it back.
Yeah.
And that's it. Yeah, I've got the villain slick back.
It's a concern,
I'm
guys.
doing a bit of a data. I'm just like, I'm very pale, but I'm a bearded data.
Ooh, there's a thing that you can lay on at any chair and it turns it into a massager.
Think it like that?
I mean, who wouldn't like that? I guess if you don't like to be touched.
Yeah, that's true. But then that's the perfect solution because that's not
because then
somebody
no one's
touching you.
actually touching you.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. That's a really great idea. Please pause the show while I look up this
you
information.
immediately go and buy something. That's amazing.
Back massager for any chair. Versatile. I'm going to versatile. I'm going to write that as my search.
Universal.
Universal. A universal one?
Slab says, can't listen. Someone explain why Opie is down by the fishing hole in that pic.
Because it's a Fissure episode.
It's a Fissure quest.
Someone type it so that he can read it.
If you don't like that one.
Oh, I can put it on the screen. Oh, here's a great question we need to answer during the show. The transporter clone
that's
names.
A great question.
Yeah. Let's do that during the show. That's a good one.
Here we go. Sci-fi answered.
Welcome to the show, Sci-Fi Brony. Welcome back.
Yeah. Massage seat.
A Lego kit. That's a good idea.
Does he have the dexterity for Lego? He's got like big builder fingers, like big digits.
He has the hands of Andre the Giant. He is a
Yes, he does. Yes.
They're a worker man said he's missing fingertips. That's know that somebody is a worker and has done a lot of handyman type things in their life when you look at their hand and there's just a couple sections completely missing.
And it's like no biggie either. It's like not even something that phases them or affects them.
Spoiler alert, Flyboy, it is your niece. She's a fan of the show and sent us a picture. I'm just kidding. That's not true at all.
Surprise. No, I didn't. But if that one makes you uncomfortable, here we go.
How many of these did you do? This is amazing. I love this.
This is my favorite quest.
High Pierce makes some fancy leg sleeves that are for exercise recovery, but they're good for sore legs. That's a good one. That's practical.
Yeah, but practical isn't fun. Practical isn't what you do for Christmas. I always think that Christmas should be like a bit whimsical. Like, what's his favorite TV show? Like, what does he watch in the evenings?
Vicar of Dibbly Bubbly.
Vicar of Dibbly. Okay.
I don't know if that's actually his favorite.
Very specific.
Because he watches like cooking shows and stuff. If I was to get him the dream, it would be going into the hallway where he puts all of his stuff and then just hyper organizing it for him and labeling everything.
Again,
but
that's a gift
also
for you.
that's for me thinking I'm going to help my dad when he knows where everything is. It's just a pile of mess. Oh my God. Can I tell you this story about my dad? I forgot to put on some music. I don't think I've ever told you this story before. So there was this one day. Let's see. Is this it? Is this the right music? Ooh, yeah, that's it. That's nice. Okay, so there was this one day, my dad, he used to be a property manager for like a big church. And so he did all of the management. If a door lock needed to be changed, he locked the door, or he could change locks. He could do small engine repair. He knows how to do electrical work. Like, he is that guy. His office, his desk is just a pile of everything that one might need at any moment's time. You're on the fly. Like his keychain on his hip, is like the quintessential massive keychain, all the things, blah, blah, blah. One day he had a container of this, I don't know what it is called, but it's like where you can squirt it out of like this little tube and it's like an expanding foam and then it turns solid.
Yes. Yes, expanding foam. Yeah.
Okay. That exploded on his desk.
No, I think you have told me this.
On top of all of the pile of stuff.
Yeah.
So it just like...
that stuff, you can't rescue it. There's no cleaning it.
No. So he sent me this picture. And at first I'm like, what is it? Because it's a picture of his desk, which is just chaos to me, to the untrained eye. there's just stuff all over it. And then, but then like, oh, what is that like blob on the side? He had this, he had an expanding foam problem.
Yeah, we had, in a previous life, I worked at a DIY shop, and it was very easy to tell when one of those boxes had been dropped. I was like, oh, what was it? Never mind, I know what was in there.
Does it start to come out the sides?
Yeah, of course, because it expands.
Yeah.
And because it's corrosive, it would like fuck up the next one. So then there's this domino effect of all of it just getting exposed to oxygen and just explode. It's a fucking nightmare to clean up. Ruined. Everything is ruined. Yeah. So
Usually,
is there like a tool that he wants? Like is there like a power tool you can get him, or like a builder's tool? Like I think just a Home Depot voucher would make him very happy.
What would make him so happy is if he had a place that he could go to do all of his tinkering where everything was, because it's kind of all scattered right now. And so if I just like, how about this? I sell my Jeep for money.
Nope. Okay. I mean, yes, do that anyway. But
okay. It's just sell it, you know? Yeah. And then I completely take the right half of my garage and turn it into a place for him to come and have all of his things.
Who are you paying to do that?
Nobody. It's a Christmas gift of letting him do it himself. Isn't that nice of me?
This would be much easier.
Yeah, just buy him a new house. Yeah, exactly.
Much easier. Yeah. I mean, he has that space. You could just go in and tidy it. That could be your gift.
Man, my gift to him, what is it going to be? I once got my dad batteries for the drill, and I had stopped at the airport because the battery looked like a bunch of dynamite. Oh, this happened to me. They thought that I was packing in dynamite because I had taken our diapers for when Iris was a baby, and instead of having them just out, I had them still in the plastic wrap, so they're very uniformed, kind of all together in this odd shape. Yeah. So they had to open everything up and dig it all out.
Baby food as well, and they thought it was cocaine or something.
That has happened, but she was all pure milk, straight from the cow. Yes. I can say that because I'm talking about myself.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, should we do some Star Trek? We got a lot of shit to talk about.
No, man, I gotta order this thing for my dad.
Yeah. Okay, we can do that instead.
Okay, massage seat cushion with full back thighs.
Food.
Ooh. See, that my dad is so tall, though. That's probably not going to work. But you know what?
He doesn't need to massage his head, though. It's just his core. Like, you don't have to do the whole body. Like, his torso is probably not much taller than the average torso.
Is that right? Have you measured it? Yeah. Are you guys that close?
Yeah. I eyeballed it. I'm really good at measuring things by eyeball.
I thought you were going to say, I'm really good at torso specifics.
Yes, torso specific. I am good at torso specifics. Yes.
Get him this espresso brownie I'm eating. Done. Sarah, you are filled with wonderful ideas.
Mail it. Does he drink, like, coffee?
No.
No, he doesn't.
No,
He's always got, like, a cup with him, though. Like a...
Yeah, a very practical cup. My dad is also the person, like, if I purchased a cup for him, he would be like, thank you. But then he just keeps using the styrofoam one that he picked up at the gas station 6 months ago that has now completely changed color and absorbed everything. No. But he has like a really, really great biome.
There's so much flavor in there.
So much.
So much extra flavor.
So much extra. He's basically just consuming styrofoam at this point.
Yeah.
Didn't get to watch it. I'm with family today. Sorry, I can't be here. Love and miss you guys. Thanks for helping me find Uranus, Danae. Now I know where to find Fudge. Bye, Slab. We love you. Sometimes Slab will travel through on I-44, which kind of comes through my area. And he messaged me asking for a shop of some kind that he was trying to remember what it was called. And so he was like, hey, what's that store off of the interstate? And a lot of people, when they're coming through the area, talk about the Uranus Fudge Factory that is near here. And so I was like, are you talking about the Uranus Fudge Factory? He was not.
They definitely thought that through or didn't think that through?
Fucking absolutely thought that through. By the way, this is an R-rated show.
I don't know. Not in your neck of the woods. I feel like if they had thought it through, it'd have been nixed. It'd be like, nah, can't do that. We're too conservative.
There's no way that wasn't thought through, number one. Number two, I think if there is one that was not thought through, it was the Come and Go.
Well, I mean, in general, yeah, there's no surprise they're changing their name. Like, that's not a surprise.
But they did spell come with a K, so.
Which makes me think they knew what they were doing.
I guess that's
Because they avoided the C.
I guess that's true.
Yeah.
They've just been bought out as well, so they're going to...
Avoiding the C is also a good idea if your intent is to come and go.
Once again, this is Not Rated Show, and thank you guys so much for being here. We go live for this show and another on the CinemaSins Podcast Network every single week. Just a reminder that next week we will be live on Saturday, not Friday, and then we're taking a live show break until January 27th when we return on Mondays for a while. So this will be our final Friday live show. You can watch the live show live or later, but now the turnaround time is going to be even a little bit tighter because it's going to be available on Mondays. And then it goes on to Patreon on Tuesdays, and then it goes live on Wednesdays in our podcast feed. So for this show, we're going to be talking Star Trek. You can catch our other show on the CinemaSins Podcast Network called Recotopia every Tuesday.
The entire camera just moved. Are you moving your camera?
What?
Are you moving your camera? Something just... There we go. Yeah.
Is that bothering you?
No, it freaked me out because you weren't aware of it. So
No,
I was like, does she know something's moving her camera?
Yeah, I do.
There's a Fissure Quest opening.
There are a couple of places that you can watch the show. One of them is on YouTube, where all of our content lives, hopefully forever. On CinemaSins Podcast Network channel. Please don't search CSPN. You won't find it.
You will find C-SPAN.
You need to actually search for CinemaSins to find it. We're also live on Twitch. And please tell us if our volume is off. For me, I can barely hear Ian. I can barely hear Ian, but I can hear his.
Do I sound quiet?
Well, but you sounded quiet to me during our Boney Pod recording as well.
Oh, interesting.
But if the audience isn't troubled by it, then I'm not either. It's very loud. Yeah.
Okay.
Anyhow,
fix the ding. Let me know if I'm markedly different in volume to Danae, though. That's important.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Just something to keep us in mind. Thank you guys for being a part of the show. We are also live on Twitch on the CinemaSins Live channel and also on my personal Twitch, where you can watch these shows for, I think, a couple weeks before they disappear forever. If you like something and you're on Twitch, please clip it because those will live forever. So what that means is if something funny happens, you can click the clip button, and then you can kind of like massage where the clip will start and stop, and then name it and save it. And that will something that we can do. What?
All right. Test. Hello. Do I sound louder? Hello.
You do to me a little bit, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah? Okay.
Yeah. It's a little bit better.
How is it sounding to the audience? Is that annoying? Yeah, it's probably annoying. To boldly go.
Sure, I can do that for you, Flyboy. So on Patreon, on the CinemaSins Patreon, we call it the Sin Club, we release all of our content early, and that's not just our podcasts, that's also all of our videos that go up on YouTube. So you'll receive the CinemaSins video early, you'll receive the TV Sins early, and then we try to release bonus content for you guys, including bloopers from Jeremy, and then also we put out a question every month, which is like, what do you guys want us to talk about this month? And a bonus podcast. And we give you a theme, and then those who are able will write in a question to us, and then we answer it and release it on a video. So you get to kind of see the whole writing crew get together and chat about it. You can try all those things out. There's a way to do that. The Patreon, I think if you do !Sin Club, if we want to test that on Twitch, I think I put that in there for you guys. But for those of you that are on YouTube, it will be patreon.com/CinemaSins to see the bonus content if you would like. So for today's show, like, I am not yelling at you. Does it sound like I'm yelling at you? Like, are you feeling emotions?
Yeah, I'm feeling the motions.
Gosh, do we talk like more like a southern lady?
Nope, no one said that.
Does that make me sound like I'm a nice woman?
Oh, I've just noticed in my background something I've been meaning to talk about for like 3 weeks. My parents were going to throw this away.
Why?
So we played this once.
That makes sense, Phil. Yes. Okay, thank you.
We played this once and I won and they never played it
And
since.
they threw it away.
No, this was like when I was 14 or 15 and played one game. I dominated so hard that they just put it upstairs somewhere. And then Mum said, "Oh, this is going to the charity shop." And I was like, "No, I'm keeping that. There are trivia. There's an entire box of trivia questions in here, Danae."
Well, let's do one. So when we start recording the show, we'll put up a banner and then we will try to focus on talking about today's episode, the Fissure Quest. However, before and after we talk about the podcast or the episode, we talk to you guys. And so
It's got little ships in it.
By now. Oh my gosh.
It's got an Anaxinander, although it's probably a Defiant. It's got an original.
Oh, that's cute.
It's adorable. It's got a Voyager.
Oh.
With its little nubby nacelles. And it's got a fat one. It's got the D.
That is not what I was interested in. I wanted a question.
Okay. Here we go.
I'm just gonna put this on music.
Don't like any of those.
This is like when I had you do that quiz that went astronomically wrong.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Oh, then no, but that was the bullshit. Are you a Star Trek fan quiz? That was
no,
nonsense.
it was choose your captain, and it was like a dating website or something. It was crazy.
Bullshit. Why does Captain Picard have an artificial heart?
Oh, it's due to it's a DNA problem.
Nope. I'm gonna give you a clue. It has to do with something we mentioned in the outtakes.
He was stabbed by Nausicaans.
A Nausicaan, yeah.
What's
And
a Nausicaan?
We mentioned Nausicaans in the outtakes. They're the ones who I said they had the matty hair.
Oh shit, that's weird.
What are the odds?
Wow, guys.
Stabbed
So
in the heart
somebody
by a
stabbed him
Nausicaan.
and he had to have a new heart. I didn't know.
Yeah.
It's Q's fault, says Wandering.
Oh, interesting. In the 2-hour Deep Space Nine pilot Emissary, what special effect was intentionally omitted from the opening title sequence?
Which TV show?
Deep Space Nine.
Okay. And which episode is it?
It's called The Emissary. It's actually just called Emissary.
Okay. What would they want to avoid? Maybe like like an exterior shot of the starbase.
No, that features
Which
very heavily.
would have been
You
the
are
entire
close.
thing.
Yeah, that would have been. It would have just been blank space the entire time.
I like this one, the wormhole.
Correct.
Wow,
Because
Flyboy!
I think the
And David got
wormhole
it.
doesn't appear until like partway through the episode, so it would have been like a bit of a spoiler. Like I think they wanted it to be a surprise.
Wormhole hadn't been discovered yet.
Because they moved Deep Space Nine to the wormhole, which is that's a fun sequence. I like this.
Is this game out of date now?
Well, none of the information has changed. Like they don't really retcon things in Star Trek or like reboot really. So, but this did come out before the J.J. Abrams movie, so it wouldn't include anything from there.
Phil, that's amazing. All I want for Christmas is Q.
That's amazing.
Q, baby.
Where do a small number of Borg drones go during regeneration that allows them to exist as individuals?
The bathroom. That's where I go to exist as an individual.
Good, solid. Yeah. That's a solid.
It's the only place I can go where most of the time I'm not followed, although Iris is fearless, man.
Of course. Oh, I don't know if it's a lack of fear or just a lack of shits given. Like just not caring.
You know.
It is correct. It is Unimatrix Zero.
You guys are so crazy. This is so crazy. What I love about this is like, I know y'all are Star Trek lovers. I know you guys know your shit. I know that. I've experienced it. But in moments like this, I'm like, I am just surrounded by Star Trek genius, and I am just gonna talk about pooping in the bathroom.
Big old
That's my
Starfleet
job.
nerd. As Captain Picard tells Cadet Wesley Crusher in the Next Generation
Shut up, Wesley!
episode of the same name, The First Duty, of a Starfleet officer. Wait, what?
I think you have to watch a DVD for that one.
That's a
Was there like a
weirdly
scene?
questioned one. No, it's just weirdly phrased. As Captain Picard tells Cadet Wesley Crusher in the Next Generation episode of the same name, the first duty of a Starfleet officer lies in what? Oh, what the hell? You said that before I finished reading the question. Amazing. You are correct. It is the truth. Nicely done, Wandering, and Flyboy, and David Ellis. Extra points to Wandering for getting it from my bastardized version of the question. That is so much fun.
Wandering. I missed this comment. Had I read this comment, I would not have believed you're the truth comment, because I would have thought you were trolling me on purpose. And the timing was too early.
Oh, that's so funny.
And it was a very long beat until those on YouTube got it. So I was almost duped by the truth.
Fuck, I just dropped everything.
I can't resist actually answering the question.
Yes.
Oh no, my little light. Yeah, I'm having technical difficulties with my little setup.
Oh no.
But you know what? That's fine. They're simple problems to have. It's not a big deal. We'll
If we ever do a like fan event thing again, I'm bringing this with me, and we'll just have a little Star Trek collective in a corner playing Star Trek Scene It.
Wow, guys, I'm just gonna have to give me a minute. Otherwise, this is gonna be very, very distracting.
Ah! Piss.
What is happening to us right now? Well, I know what's happening to you. You started to you touched the domino on the
yeah. All of that very precariously stacked.
Yes.
Okay. Oh no, rocks are about to fall on Danae's head.
But there's a reason for it.
Yeah, exactly.
We know why. Okay.
All right, let's get into the show. Let's do it. Let's do it. You good?
Let's do it.
You ready?
You gotta stop the warp core.
Oh. It's very loud. Okay. Is my volume better?
Loud. It's extremely loud.
What, me or the ding?
The ding.
Okay, yeah.
Comparatively, it's not too bad. That's still a little loud.
Ding that's really. Oh, I love you do that back to back. It's like a little echo. Ah, makes me so happy.
Oh man, it's so fun to be around people that are so happy with the simple things.
So calming. Okay. Welcome to 10 Forward, the part of the show where we grab something from the replicator and share our immediate thoughts and feelings on the episode we just watched. Most important question first, what is your thing of choice from the replicator?
I can't believe I forgot that. I have to think now.
Wow, Janae.
I know.
Wow.
They did go to 10 Forward at one point in time and have like a little camera pan around the room, and there was somebody that was maybe eating like ramen or something.
Curzon was eating a bowl of ramen noodles that looked
ramen?
really good. Yeah, I mean, it looked like it, and there was a lot of sodium in it, apparently, according to T'Pol.
Yeah, it was very slurpy.
Yeah.
I'm going to hope it's not worms. I'm going to go with that.
Oh, wait. No, because if it was gach, which Curzon would eat, it would have been like wriggling, and they're a darker color as well. And I don't think they're usually in liquid. They're usually just raw.
So I'm going to order it, and then I'm going to watch you take the first bite, and then I'll take a bite.
That's fair. Okay, so I guess I won't. Or I'm going to order a batliff in case the gach is still alive, and then I can kill it and then eat it. Give us a synopsis, Ambassador.
Holy shit, how do you synopsisize this episode?
By just saying it's awesome and moving on.
Okay, in today's episode, awesome things happen at a very fast pace. If you've been hoping for an adventure, a space adventure of some kind, if you've been looking for an answer as to what is happening when we fish shore on this show, then this is the episode for you. And also, if you've ever wondered what Mariner is like when she's just a simple ensign engineer person, then this is also the episode for you. Did it do everything that you wanted it to do? Because you were very excited to potentially have a lot of shit go down, a lot of like guest appearances and references. Like you were ready for a big episode, and I think this was 100% that episode. So are you? You said it was awesome, so I'm assuming you loved it.
Goodness, it fulfilled everything in a very thoughtful, deliberate way. The thought and care that went into this in a very clearly post MCU doing multiverse shit, fatigue, tediousness time that we live in was chef's kiss genius. Like it was so aware clearly that multiverses are getting a bit tiring, and it weaved that into the story perfectly. I love this episode so much. I love the cameos. I love the respect for the specificity of the characters and the cameos. And this episode did so much. It fixed so many things that people have wanted, and it just like it went through this like checklist of what are the fans like on the internet. Like, what have they been? What's the weirdly specific things they're craving? And we're going to try and fix it in one episode. Loved it. Loved it. Loved it. Loved this episode. Chef's kiss. I want Star Trek Fissure Quest to be the new series that we have.
Which, of course, it is not. Because they've already undone that possibility by the end of the episode. That's not happening. But it is an interesting concept because in this in today's episode, you have Boimler's accidental clone, which we thought was dead. Now, I didn't see this episode, so does this work for you?
This is in season 2, yeah. So we knew he wasn't dead. We knew that Section 31 picked him up, but we know that everyone on the lower decks crew believes he died. Yes.
Okay, so does that work for you that we see him in the captain's chair?
Oh, this is perfect. I think the promotion is a little bit quick, but also things are relative. We don't know how long he's been doing this because they kind of exist outside of time. So he could have been doing this for a long time for all we know. But yeah, this completely works. I really, really like it.
Yeah, you're right. I think for the animation style, we're meant to interpret his dark circles under his eyes as time spent. Besides just the frustration. And then also he has acquired many Kims. And so he's obviously been at it for a while. So can you explain to those of us who don't understand the Kims, why this is so funny? Now I get some of the humor of it, and there's a lot to talk about in this episode, obviously, but
so much.
If I'm understanding correctly, if I'm picking up what the show is putting down, it's that Kim was often sent off in the shuttle. So that's why he's often collected. Is that right?
Not really, no. The bigger thing is how neglected Kim is in general and overlooked. So the big running gag is that Harry Kim, over 7 years of Voyager, is never promoted beyond ensign. Tom Paris, by comparison, was a criminal.
White man.
Was taken out of jail by Janeway, given ensign status, was then promoted to lieutenant, demoted while on Voyager, and then promoted again back to lieutenant. And when he's like promoted the second time, Harry literally says, I wonder if there's going to be one of those pips hiding for me in the console. And it's just like dead silence. Nobody says anything. So the gag is, it's insane that Harry, after everything he went through and how much he grew, he never got promoted. And then in the years since Voyager, it's just been this ongoing, will we ever see Harry Kim get promoted? So the 2-pip Kim, it's kind of like, hey, yeah, he got promoted. Look what happened. Look what happened when he got that second pip.
I I loved it, but to me, I don't know. I'm now even more confused about how they acquired so many Kims, but Wandering in the chat said that there's 5 different episodes or like reality alternatives with Harry in them. So maybe that's what the show is getting at. My interpretation was that in all of these realities, Kim is the one that they sort of put on the shuttle as the expendable person to go send on a mission just in case shit goes wrong. Like send Kim through the fissure, that kind of a vibe. And instead, maybe it's that there was multiple like episodes, and so they're referencing that more than they're.
Yeah, it's more like the weird shit happens to Kim. Like he accidentally like gets turned into an alien. After like having a relationship with somebody, there's like he ends up like going back in time into like an alternate past. He jumps over from an alternate Voyager. It's like the Kim that we see in Voyager is not the Kim that we saw in episode 1, because the episode 1 Voyager technically blows up, and then we're following a different Voyager, which is just fucking weird. It's an episode called Deadlock. So much fun. But yeah, so I think it is a reference to that as well. Like there's already multiple Kims, but I think it's like just all of this weird shit happens to Kim. So of course they're going to bump into a lot of them and just end up collecting them on this parallel ship.
That's the one thing so far. We've only talked about one thing, I'm aware, but that's one thing so far that like, unless you knew that maybe wasn't as clear as to how they had collected so many Kims, but it doesn't really matter too much the how of it, because I thought that it was fun to see, because Kim ends up being the villain of the episode. Boimler is bummed to not have had an adversary this entire time. And here it comes in the form of saving another Kim, who is the 2-Pip Kim, who is the elevated one, and he's sort of worshipped by the other ones. And then of course he also is disgusted with himself for not having advanced in all of these ways, which is the play on the show, like you're mentioning. But that ends up being like what goes wrong in this episode. Did that work for you?
That's the real gag for me. I think the reason we have multiple Kims there is to show that no matter what universe you're in, Kim doesn't get promoted. Like he always gets fucked by the multiverse, and for whatever reason doesn't get promoted. And there's only one, or it's a very, very rare thing when he gets promoted. And it's hilarious to me that the one time he does get promoted, it's because he's a bit like maniacal. Like the thing that makes Kim is
somehow
the kind of thing
isn't
that
there.
held him back as well. And it's not there in this like extra ambition. The reason he did get promoted was because maybe he was a bit more cutthroat. So it's really interesting. Once again, Lower Decks giving reason to something that is a Star Trek like trope, and like not something that's specifically mentioned on screen, but has been elevated by the fan base and made this just piece of Star Trek history that Kim never gets promoted.
It also plays on this, him kind of Kim, the one Kim, turning dark and evil, and leaving everybody on this planet, and fucking off in the big portal ship, the Rift ship. There's a moment when he's like, why did we get put into this cell by ourselves and not over with the leadership?
I know.
And that sort of suspicious behavior, this grudge. I wonder if he didn't have it before because he was on a path to, moving up the ranks and, but then whenever he saw the failures of himself, it was even more evident that he has to really push to advance.
Well, this ambition, he then transfers all of this ambition to the other Kims. It's not enough for like him to succeed. He wants all of the Kims to succeed. Like that's a really, as much as his like plan is some bullshit, I love the motivation behind it, because this really ambitious Kim would want that for his other Kims, because they're a bad reflection on him, and that's his ego and his arrogance. And the Kim that we know and love doesn't have much of an ego, and you could argue that maybe that's why he didn't progress as much. He didn't push himself forward as much. It's for me, it's such it could have just been a throwaway joke. Oh look, he never got promoted. But to weave that into the plot and to use it to just
be their
explain
downfall
it a little bit more. Yeah, it's one of my favorite things. It's like, okay, what if there is a logical reason for why Kim isn't promoted? And then what happens if he does get promoted? Like, I love that. That's just that tickled me. It's so clever to give that extra life.
Yeah. There's so much to talk about. So much happens in this episode.
So much. What worked really well for you? Like, what did you, references like aside, what did you really enjoy about the adventure? Because I'll spend 7 hours talking about the references.
Yes. And I think that's going to be something that most people who listen to this podcast are excited about. So I think that you should definitely take center stage in that regard.
We will be doing that.
I loved the design of the ship, the Fissure ship.
Oh, it's the Beagle. I got to talk about this. The Beagle.
Have we seen anything like it before? I don't know that I have. You have?
We have.
Oh, of course, it's a reference as well.
It's a reference. It's so close. Let's move away from references for a minute. No, we got to talk about it. This is amazing. This ship first appears in Star Trek: The Motion Picture. It's on a poster on the wall, and there's like a series of enterprises through time. And this is the first time we ever saw it, and we were like, huh. Well, I say we. I wasn't alive when the movie came out, but it's like, I wonder what that ship was, because we know about the shuttle Enterprise because that's a real thing that happened. We know about Kirk's Enterprise, and they stuck in a couple of other Enterprises, and I think it appears in Enterprise, the TV show as well. And it's just one of these early warp capable ships. I believe it was warp capable, called Enterprise. So it's just fun that this parallel universe where they start trekking through alternate realities instead of space, that they use this concept. So it's fun to see it on screen flying around. It's just the perfect opportunity to show us this ship in action.
I remember when we talked clever. And the conversation with the writer who created the character. Was it Archer? No.
Oh no, we did. Fred Bronson created
it's not Archer, is it?
No, it's not. It's the captain before Kirk on the Enterprise, which was Captain not Pike. It's pre-Pike.
Pre-Pike.
Robert April.
Captain
April.
April.
Yes. He invented that character for the animated show.
There was this moment where, like, I don't know that you create a character, you create something, and it doesn't get past a certain point. You're still thankful to create the character. And then years later, someone actually brings it to life. Exactly. And you asked him about that. And it was really fun to see him kind of light up, you know, just this.
He was honored.
And we ourselves, as creators of stories with like different character work that you and I, Ian, have done in various capacities, I cannot imagine what that would feel like. There's a question that came up in the CinemaSins Boney Pod question, and it was something like, if you could bring any character to dinner, what would it be? And I actually had this moment when I thought, would I actually want one of my own characters to come to life and like meet them? Because they exist in my mind and they're controlled by me when I do like any kind of tabletop role play or whatever. But how fun would it be to see it come to life? And I just sat there and thought about how crazy it would be to have Sadie Jean or Babs or any of the characters that I've done character work on, like just come to life. And then I transitioned into thinking about, that is what it is like to watch something make it to film, to make it onto the screen. And those are really big moments. But if this was just a potential concept art, and a different ship is picked, and you're kind of like, man, I got so close. But then here, all this time later, it's brought to life and animated in such a fun way, because this fucking beagle, which I love that it's called a beagle.
And that's named after Archer's, the type of dog that Archer has.
Archer?
Captain Archer. Yeah.
Oh,
he has a dog.
Not
he has
April.
A beagle.
So there is an Archer? There's an Archer.
There is a Captain Archer. Yeah, Captain Archer and Captain April. Yeah.
So many.
About 100 years apart.
So many words.
So many.
But it like all it comes together and sort of moves and shifts, and when it goes to warp and does these things, that's
so great. The ring that moves, like that wasn't in the design as far as I know. The ring that like moves as it lands, and then like They literally brought it to life.
Yeah, and
it's so fun.
I
And we've
can't
seen it on
relate to
screen.
that.
We've
I
seen a
can't
picture
relate
of
to
it.
that excitement. I've never experienced that before, but we've talked to somebody. We talked to him, Fred, about it, and he was really like so happy. I just can't imagine what this person feels like if they're still alive. I hope that they are, and they got to see it.
Yeah, I'm not too sure actually who designed it, but yeah, it made it to screen. I remember there's an interview somewhere, but Gene Roddenberry said the ship needs to be. You need, if this ship is going to be popular and is going to become famous, kids need to be able to draw it really simply. So circle, body, two tubes. And it's so simple. And that's why I was able to make the Enterprise out of Lego when I was 10, because it's such a simple design. Like making it simple like that is one of the reasons it's iconic. So
and now you're having Iris do that. She's starting to build Enterprises.
She's drawing Enterprises. I'm a happy little nerd to pass it on.
So
yeah,
anyways, you
that.
asked, like,
So
you sort of asked, I didn't realize the history to it. Now I love it even more. I also loved how this Boimler, at first I wasn't really relating to him because he is a version I don't know. Even though there's a familiarity to him, I wasn't really sure how I was going to be like connecting to him. But when Mariner shows up, the way that they animate the emotion and the relief in his eyes of seeing someone that it's such a simple animation too. Like they just have done such a great job. There's even a moment when Mariner realizes that she's standing next to some character and she's like, is that who I think it is? You know, this person, and her little lips are so small.
Yeah.
They do such a great job of showing the emotion, but I loved that. And I loved Mariner in this episode, this sort of different version of herself. But unsurprisingly, I'm sure to any of you listening, that's about it for me, because everything else is just like this sure seems like it's a cool thing. I mean, I love the space battles and I love the visuals and the fissure. I love this like crazy axolotl salamander murderers. Those are fun.
I think they're Moopsies. Are they like they're different versions of Moopsie?
Well, there's a reference to thank God they don't like suck our bones. So they had a very similar vibe, but they're very So I liked that. I thought that the storytelling and the pacing was fun, and I was definitely in from an adventure, and I barely noticed time going by. In fact, I never looked at the clock. It went by so fast. So it was a really exciting
episode of the season. This is 28 minutes long. So it
felt like it was 2 minutes. It was
long, right? It went so quick. So do you think the story got like a bit lost for you because it was filled with characters from other franchises that you're like, okay, this seems fun to people who know who these characters are? Or did the story, like, did you still appreciate the story as an episode?
I did not appreciate it like you will. Yeah. This is maybe the first, it felt very much like I'm going to a family reunion of a family that loves them. Like they love each other so much. I'm walked into this room and just spun in circles, and I'm meeting all of these faces and all of these people and all these names, and they all look a little bit familiar, but they're talking so fast. And then someone asked me to drink a drink, and then all of a sudden we're looking at rainbows. It was a lot. I would not go back and watch this episode.
Yeah, because this doesn't have the grounding of our Lower Decks crew. This has, even like Boimler and Mariner are the familiar faces. It's a very different Mariner. It's a very different Boimler. So I was interested to kind of like see how it worked for you. And I think that would be my worry as well. Like, this is a love letter to Star Trek fans. So I was curious to know if like the core adventure works without that special knowledge of like the stuff that it's tapping into.
It's the kind of party, it's the kind of reunion that I am filled up by. There's a frantic energy to it, and there's an excitement to it, and there's a fun to it, and there's familiar voices, and there's familiar, like I said, a lot of the characters, like I recognize them, but I don't have any emotional connection. There's a lot of techno babble. I don't really have any connection to that either. There's a lot of drama between characters and fun stretching of the imagination that I think would be really, really fun to experience if I was a super fan.
Yeah.
I'm going to leave this party glad I went, but I'm not leaving it. Like I'm in this for you. So I want to take a big old back seat and hear you talk about this episode because I don't really have much to add, honestly.
Yeah, it is. It's a massive fan fiction episode, which is interesting to explore if you're more like kind of casual to Star Trek. I think one of the big things that you will have been lost on is the Bashir and Garrick thing. So the two doctors. That so we've got the holographic doctor that's based on Bashir from Deep Space Nine and Garrick, who I don't think you've seen Garrick the Cardassian yet in Deep Space Nine.
I recognize the character, but I don't have any reference for his nature.
Yeah, so Garrick is a leftover Cardassian on Deep Space Nine. So he's the only one that stays on Deep Space Nine. And there's this subplot of, okay, he says he's a tailor and he runs the clothes shop, but is he a spy left behind by the Cardassians? Like, what's his deal? Why is he happy to stay behind with a ship, a space station full of Federation and Bajorans? And as like the series goes on, you realize he's actually a spy, but not for the Cardassians. He worked for a shady organization, but he clearly has this history of spycraft and knowing way more than just a tailor should know. And Bashir is the one that's really suspicious of him. And then gradually, as the years go on, they become best friends and they bond. And by the end of the series, pretty much like the entire internet, especially when like Star Trek became an internet thing to talk about, was just like, man, I bet they be fucking. I bet Bashir and Garrick were like made for each other. And in the end, they got together. And because they argued like a stereotypical old married couple. They would get into these like big heated debates, but Garrick had like such a care, and he would say, "Oh, my dear doctor," and like it's the
like an intellect. Like he seemed very like an intellectually driven.
Yes, and Bashir would challenge him intellectually because he's an augment, so he has like a huge, big old complicated brain, and Garrick loved debating this and like not quite giving away all of the secrets. Just like, oh, dear doctor, if I told you that, then I'd have to kill you. And you're not too sure if he actually would kill him.
Right. Oh, that's really fun. And that's the thing. This is in Deep Space Nine?
This is in Deep Space Nine.
Man,
and occasionally... sorry, go on.
And that's the space where they experimented with like seasonal arcs and like really long storytelling.
Darker themes. Yeah.
People who are enjoying characters, it's like a deep, like almost like a deep love. I love my characters too, but when you're watching and investing in like you're talking about like friendships developing over time, they don't have to cram it all into one episode. They're doing like seasonal shifts. So it must be pretty emotional.
Sprinkle it in. And it was always great. Whenever Garrick turned up and asked questions, immediately that tweaked the audience to know this is important. Garrick wouldn't be involving himself if this wasn't important. And when he reaches out to like a contact, everything is exposing himself. So when he gets involved, you know big shit is going down. So it was a really clever, subtle way of doing that. But for some reason, he picked Bashir as his plaything. And they just have this like the same way I can kind of see Q and Picard being in a relationship in that kind of like combative way. But Garrick and Bashir were very much romanced to heck. So it's so freaking fun to see them actually on screen as a couple living it. And it's fine. Like they get the excuse of, oh, it's an alternate universe so we can do whatever the hell we want. But it is a literal love letter to the fans. Not literal. It's a love letter to the fans to say, here you go. We get them on screen. This is Garrick and Bashir as a couple on screen kissing. And
did that work for you?
This is how they would of course it worked for me. Absolutely.
Awesome. I love to see the representation. Honestly, I really did enjoy that part.
Cardassians can love too.
Yeah.
No, I loved it so much. It's not like just a little throwaway thing that 5 people in the fandom think about. It has become like generally accepted by fans. Oh yeah, they were together. Yeah. But yeah, they definitely went on to fall in love. So yeah, I love that they worked it into the show. And it's one of the many things that ties the show together of the what ifs. Like, these are the things that fans have been asking for, because Boimler at the beginning says, like, it's just derivative, and it's the multiverse is just the same old thing that you've seen again. It's just like, it's a way to see a big Spock or a human Worf or a silly thing, where actually the function of the episode is to show us the things the fans have wanted or think they want, but you have no hope of seeing on screen. So it's kind of a fuck you to, like, people who hate the multiverse, understandably, but like, yeah, but you can use it to do this.
Yeah.
And that's personally why I love multiverse, the potential of multiverse stuff, because it's a playground to say, what if this would be fun to see these two characters?
But it was still fun to see Boimler just like annoyed, like, oh, we're going to see like an evil version of Picard, you know, just this sort of sassy ass.
Yeah. It's all stuff we've seen, but just slightly different. And it's amazing. He's done with it. And you've got to have that in there, because to do multiverse stuff now, you have to be self-aware about it. Like Deadpool and Wolverine. Deadpool's very aware. He just comes out and says, everything after Endgame has been a bit shit, guys. Like, what are we doing? So yeah, that completely, that really, really worked for me. Just gonna keep going on the references. One of the other, it's a more subtle one, but the inclusion of T'Pol is really, really, really cool. So T'Pol is the Vulcan that's on the bridge.
That's the one that Mariner freaks out when she sees.
Mariner really geeked out when she saw her. T'Pol was our Enterprise, which is one of the shows we haven't seen that I've mentioned. It's a prequel to TOS. So this is like 100 years before Captain Kirk. It's the first time the humans are venturing really far into deep space. Like, the Klingons are introduced in episode 1, and they've never met Klingons before. They don't even know what a Klingon is. So it is right at the beginning of the humans' exploration into space. And they're kind of being guided by the Vulcans. So they have a Vulcan on the bridge. T'Pol was like a fan favorite. T'Pol was a great character. However, this is during like a bit of a problematic era for Star Trek. So you know how like 7 of 9, Jerry Ryan would be dressed up in these like cat suits and very revealing uniforms. T'Pol kind of had the same thing, and it made less sense because she was Vulcan. So it was even more on the nose that, are we just dressing up some eye candy here? Like, are we being that kind of disingenuous and just like kind of taking advantage? And there's some rumors about like how she was actually treated on set. She basically, Jolene Blalock left Star Trek kind of saying, I don't want to come back. Like, I don't want to do this anymore. And didn't leave, by all reports, on good terms, basically. So for her to come back and to be given like a really cool role and to like be willing to come back as well is so freaking cool. Like, it has warmed my heart to see her on screen again, and just to see her inhabit the character and really enjoy it. It was just, it's a cool little character to bring back.
So having no like emotional connection to the character at all was fine. I was like, oh, I love Vulcans. I'm liking her character. I'm liking how they communicate. Obviously, she's interacting with this other character who has Dax, somebody in her or something.
Yes.
How did that work for you at the end when she does the mind melding with this symbiote thingy?
Yeah, no, it makes complete sense for me, because
is that something we've seen before?
We haven't seen a Vulcan do that to somebody that wasn't a Vulcan. So when Spock dies, he knows he's going to die, so he transfers his Katra to McCoy. And the idea isn't to like be reborn, but their consciousness is transferred to the Vulcan home planet where it kind of exists. So their knowledge isn't lost. Their experiences and everything still continue on. So that's something that's explored in Enterprise. And T'Pol is one of the people that's like, no, it doesn't exist. And then through one of her missions, she's like, oh, it does exist. That is a thing. So it's fun for her to like adapt that to the Trill, who continue on with their memories. And obviously they can transfer their experiences to the symbiont that then moves on to the next body. So it's kind of like 2 different types of computer code talking to each other. So I'm like, I'm not too sure how that works, but I'm fine with it working. So yeah, I'm interested to see what they do with that in the next episode, if anything.
And who is the person that she's interacting with? They have this sort of back and forth, the one with the Bat'leth.
Yes, that's Curzon Dax. That's one of Jadzia's ancestors. So not ancestors. It's one of the previous hosts.
Predecessor or whatever.
Yeah, predecessor.
Her previous host.
So I think Jadzia is number 7 or 6, something like that. So she's had like 6 or 7 hosts before her. And Curzon was the one immediately before her. So Curzon was Sisko's mentor. So he's had this huge life. He had a big like kind of adventures with the Klingons. I think he was an ambassador to the Klingons at one point. And he's just, again, he's a fan favorite symbiont. Like, people have been asking to see Curzon in Strange New Worlds because, wow, Curzon would be alive during this time. Are we going to see Curzon Dax? So
has he not been seen before now? Is this the first time?
We've seen him in an episode of Deep Space Nine where Jadzia talks to her previous hosts, and he looks like that. They've animated that version of him for this show, which is really, it's a great nod. But that's the only time we've seen him. We haven't seen him pop up. I think he's appeared in books. We haven't seen him like actually on screen.
So Phil in chat reminded me that Jadzia always, or that the boss man on Deep Space Nine calls Jadzia old man. So this is the old man.
And that's why, Curzon's the old man.
Okay.
So it's a good symbiont to pick because we already have like a lot of knowledge about him. We know he's Klingon obsessed. He had like this bond with the Klingons. So yeah, if you're going to pick one to put on screen, again, it's here you go, fans. We're going to give you something you've been asking for.
Yeah, I did enjoy that character because there was like a moment he's like, all right, everybody calm down. You're all going to get your asses kicked. Like, I just really enjoyed that sort of nature.
Super cavalier. He's very old school Star Trek. He grew up he was prevalent in Kirk's era. So there's a bit more of like a cowboy space ranger element to him, which I'm glad they carried forward.
Yeah, that was fun because we kind of needed to have. I wondered why he had a bat lift though, so I guess that makes like now we're talking about it, and I knew we would talk about it and it would make more sense. Now it kind of makes more sense, but yeah, we did need to have a couple of like battle crazy people, and it was really strange not to see Mariner in that position.
Well, how did you like that bit of the episode? So this is a calmer, more contemplative, reserved Mariner, much more like maybe Geordie, a little bit more risk averse, like just a very calm soul. Did you like that, or did you find yourself missing Cavalier Mariner? Maringineer.
It's interesting because if you're sitting down at a table to put together an episode like this, and you know you're going to need to have these characters that do clutch things with their clutch knowledge at like the most pivotal moments. You have to have the engineer, and you have to have the person that remembers. Like, there's so many fucking things that have to happen perfectly in this episode for no one to die. And
yes, welcome to Star Trek.
Insane. Like, this one's insane. Yes. There's rifts being opened, but they need to be put together better so that they can do this. There's stuff that they gotta shoot into a rift so they can do this. There's gravity shit that's got to happen. Like, it is incredible. The amount of technobabble in this episode. And usually we talk about how, it makes sense that there is what does Data prefer to be called?
An android?
I was going to say android, but then I got worried that I was, because I sometimes I say robot, and that's not true.
Robot.
Okay, yeah. I call Rutherford a robot.
Robotford, yeah. He's an augmented biological life form. Yeah.
Which, by the way, this entire episode's his fault.
Wait.
I'm just kidding.
Nope.
I was just saying that to make everybody stop and go, really?
Wait.
I need to remember to use my power to get for good.
Yeah.
But what I understand about needing, I don't know. I liked it. I liked seeing Mariner in this position, but it seems like they needed to have certain characters fulfill those roles of having the knowledge that's needed to do the things that make this episode work. And it's all just super, super convenient, and it's incredibly sinful, and it doesn't.
I think when you handpick a crew, that makes sense to me. But these are people that have been like thrown together.
This is why I would believe in like God or Q. Like, it would take some sort of outside force to put all of these people together to make the decisions that they're making to save the end of all, to save every reality from dying. And this episode packs it in there. Like, you only have 12-second and a simplified version of a bubble bath to realize that we're all going to die in every reality.
Every universe. Yeah.
So it was very like, I don't think, was it Endgame or Multiverse? It was very much that, where if we don't do this thing, then everybody dies, and you can't really stop to think about it. And you can't really stop to think about what character is giving you the information that is needed crucially in that moment. I'm going to go ahead and give the only sin that I could cut, like that really bothered me. There's even a moment when Mariner pops up on screen or in the middle of a conversation, like, "Hey, like, when does that ever happen? When do we ever see this happen where someone interrupts the middle of a conversation on the bridge as if they're eavesdropping from another place with just like a little pop-up, like a little, like, I don't know. Can't remember that happening, but anyway, and it's Mariner, and she is this crucial, pivotal, I've got information because in my universe, I was actually researching this. That could have been any character. It could have been Data. It could have been anybody, because they could have done anything. And I think they needed to have Mariner on board to remind Boimler about his friends. And that was really maybe the heart of the episode in that way, was him believing so much in his capable friends of his reality that they could destroy their reality or trust that they're going to save the day.
Yeah.
And so we have to have Mariner on board. And if she were taking any attention that she usually does, I don't think this episode works. So they had to put her in the back seat as the quiet person. Otherwise, it wouldn't have worked.
She would have been like riffing on T'Pol, on Curzon. It would have been like unbelievable. It would have been way too much. So I didn't even think about this, but I think it's really smart to have this on an alternate crew where the novelty for Boimler, even though he's like a transporter double, the novelty has worn off for him. And these are just people that he's working with from different universes. It isn't like, we're not dealing with anybody that's really starstruck, it's really clever, because that would have taken up a lot of time in the episode.
And it would have made no sense.
Boimler would have been paralyzed. Mariner would have been over the top. Yeah, it's really, that's a good point. I think
Mariner would have been the one person at the reunion that would have been too much, that would have spoiled the event.
Yes.
So I think they had to give her a creative reason to be a muted character. So did it work for me? Yes, because when you're sitting at the table and you're trying to fill all of these roles to make this episode work, and you've got Mariner card, and you're like, where are we going to put Mariner in this? Because if we don't put this in the right spot, and give her a crucial role while also not, like, they had to figure out how to make it work, and they did a great job of that. So yes, it worked for me. But she's one of the only characters that I know, so it wasn't as fun to see her doing the thing.
It's kind of like if she was real, like, and in TNG, she seemed a lot more grounded. And the same with like Boimler. They were both much more grounded individuals. This felt much less to the extreme of like what happens in cartoons. This felt very grounded in Star Trek.
It's this episode today, this podcast today, is very much that moment when your friend is having an amazing meal and you're just like, yeah, it's okay, but you're not about to talk about it too much because they're having so you just keep going. You just keep talking about it. Like, did it work for me? Yes. Does it taste as great as it tastes for you? Probably not, but that's not the point, right? Like, keep going. Like, let's talk more about, because there's still so much, I think, to like really examine. For example, we were talking about Vulcan Queen with pre-Jax.
What? What?
There's a Vulcan lady.
T'Pol. Yeah.
And then there's the pre-Jax guy. Old man.
Pre-Dax. Yeah.
Dax, not Jax. Thank you.
Pre-Jax sounds like you have.
I know. I heard it. Let's just move on.
Okay.
But they seem to have like a connection. Did they come from the same reality? Or
I don't think so.
Okay. Because they couldn't have, because it was different times. So they didn't know each other before this episode, but they had been on the ship together for a long time.
Correct.
Okay.
Yes. Okay. So the characters, as we know them, hadn't interacted in canon. But yeah, I think they've been on the crew together for a while. Yeah. So they have a history together. Yeah.
Chat's calling me out for my food metaphors, calling me a Miggly Moo, and I fully accept that. So I think that's another part that I'm glad to talk about with you and to talk about your excitement, because I, not knowing the characters like you do, I also was regularly wondering if they had shared realities before the ship or not.
No, not
you know
to
what
my
I mean?
knowledge, unless it's like in a book that I've missed. This is the only bit of the episode, not the only bit, but it's one of the bits of the episode where I can imagine they put a ton of characters on the wall and threw 2 darts and were like, oh, T'Pol and Curzon. That's fun. And then put it together. Like, there's no real meaning to it for me other than T'Pol understanding the soul and the emotions and the memories live on, and the Trill understand that more than kind of anyone else.
And she's going to make sure that she gets that information back to his reality to continue on, which means that if that is the same reality that we're in, that's how it was actually transferred to.
Not necessarily to Jadzia.
Okay.
No, because that happens. I think he dies of old age, bizarrely. I think that the transition to Jadzia was very deliberate. Like, that wasn't like an emergency thing. That was, okay, Curzon's at the end of his life. Move on to Jadzia. Here's the next host.
So Sci-Fi Brony says that they don't think anyone shares realities on this ship. So that means that the two doctors, it's just their personalities reattracted each other to each other in this ship.
Yes, exactly.
Got it. Okay. I think I'm tracking now. Thank you for that.
That's one of the interesting things, is that they still ended up towards each other. Like, Marina's personality is different, but holographic Bashir is the same. Garrick is the same. T'Pol is the same. Curzon is the same. Like, but they're not from the universes that we know. I mean, Curzon, no, Curzon can't be, because Boimler specifically says at the beginning, is Curzon at a point where he hasn't lost his symbiont. So it's very wibbly wobbly. They don't explain it too much, but yeah.
Well, it's definitely one that if you love this and you watch it again, you'll probably learn even more, because they just pack it all in there.
Well, I want this TV show. Like, what's in a previous episode of the pod that I've just remembered, we mentioned, and I can't remember if it's in the outtakes or during one of the episodes, I think I mentioned that we need, like we have a temporal, there's a temporal branch of Starfleet that looks after the temporal time directive, and they'll pop up if time travel shenanigans have happened. Yes. I said, why don't we have a department that deals with parallel universes and all of the shit that happens? And they made it. It's Fissure Quest. They
oh my God, are they listening to our show?
They're listening. They must be listening. How was that not one of my predictions? I already accidentally predicted it.
So we have the Kims, which we've kind of covered. We've got the bridge crew. I think we've gone over all of the bridge crew, but then they interact with this other group of people. And what do we know about them? Because obviously I know nothing. So have at these folks.
We know very little about them other than their captain, Lily. And it is uncanny how I was doing, and this has got to be deliberate. Engineer Mariner was like, you seem familiar. What's going on? At the same time that I was like, yeah, no, thank you. She does seem familiar. Who is it? And it's Lily, and she's in the second TNG movie, First Contact. I think I've explained this plot at some point. The Borg attempt to go back in time to assimilate Earth in the past so that they don't create Starfleet and they don't become a burden in the future. The Enterprise follows them back in time, figures out what they're trying to do, and what the Borg are trying to do. Instead of going back to caveman times and killing them, they decide to go to the specific day that we first test warp travel. And on that day, Zefram Cochrane, who invented warp drive, leaves the planet. The Vulcans are in the sector and like, the humans have warp drive. We'd better go say hello. And the Borg want to prevent that from happening, because that's the start of Earth joining the rest of the galaxy. And Lily is Zefram's kind of like right-hand woman that helps him create the first warp ship and is just at his side doing everything. Lily ends up on the Enterprise with Picard, and helps them save the day, essentially. We never see her since. We never see her again. So, and it's the same actor as well as Alfre Woodard, who's an absolute legend. And she's come back to voice the character, and this version of Lily has continued on, but instead is doing parallel universe stuff instead of exploring space. So just a stroke of genius to bring her in. This cast must have been cripplingly expensive for this episode, because all of these are the original voice actors.
This is why they had to stop making the show. And they just spent too much money on the voice actors, and all the budget just ran out.
Yeah. Like, you spent how much on episode 9 of season 5? Cancelled. Done.
Finished. Wandering says, when Picard says the line must be drawn here and no further, he's saying it to her.
Lily is one of the few characters to give Captain Picard a 100% dressing down, because the entire crew is like, blow up the ship. We need to evacuate the Enterprise. We need to blow it up. And Captain Picard is like, I'm not giving up. I'm not. The Borg, in like the whole speech is like, the Borg invaded us. They take our worlds and we keep retreating. And it's not fair. I'm not going to stop. They're not taking my ship. And Lily follows him into his ready room and is just like, oh, you want to be like Captain Ahab? You want to go down with your ship? You're going to get everyone here killed. And just screams at him, blow up the damn ship, Jean-Luc. And he's like, no, I'm not going to do it. But eventually he does, because Lily convinces him. She's such a great character. And the actor, Alfre Woodard, just is so good in that movie. So good. So yeah, loved her in this episode, which does lead us nicely into my favorite, like, the moral theme of the episode here that I did not expect and loved to bits is all in the title Fissure Quest instead of Star Trek. Like, what if Starfleet hadn't explored space and explored alternate dimensions instead? And that's what Lily is there to, like, trying to explain to Boimler, is like, there is so much to learn about humanity by finding our different variations and the different versions of us and what we do differently. And she lists like the crazy things that humans have done in alternate realities. And that was such a clever way to like defend multiverse stuff a bit as well. And just like, there is so much to learn
scientific
if you do it properly. Yeah, exactly. Like, if Star Trek did do multiverses, what would be the reason behind it? Like, what would that be about? So it's implying the core mission of Star Trek to alternate realities. And that's just like, blah, 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 chef's kiss. So good. So good. That's fucking understanding Star Trek. Ugh.
Yeah,
so
they were
good.
very, like, even their clothing looked like TOS sort of vibe. It had like kind of more puffy sort of quilted version of itself. It looked like older sort of things. And I'm like, oh, these people are probably just, like old scientists that are just doing scientist stuff.
Yeah.
And so that was my assumption then, is that they were going to be more science-y. I didn't say that out loud, so I can't prove that was my thought, but it was.
No, I believe you.
So seeing them in this gel cell for the first time was really like, it was kind of a, for me, it was a win, because it wasn't a big villain. It wasn't a big bad guy. It was just
way cleverer.
These people who have their own mission of exploring something, and it wasn't to go look for some crystal that's going to power a ship or something.
Mm-hmm.
They're just wanting to observe. I like how they also had to keep it so non-specific. Both Boimler and Lily say, I can't tell you who we're getting our missions from, to keep it like really kind of hush hush.
We know it's section 31. We it's got to be. But no, I love that. I think it's really clever that they don't realize the damage that they're doing. It's not the typical villain. Like, Boimler is trying to find a villain because that's the stereotype, and there isn't one. So I think it's really clever to buck that stereotype of like some random evil force is doing this and make it an accidental consequence. Because the bit that broke my brain a bit was like how advanced the technology is that Lily and her crew are using compared to warp travel. This feels like it's not just, oh, we invented boats instead of cars or whatever. That's a bad example, but it's like, this is like really crazy complicated, like way advanced stuff. So it makes sense that they fuck it up and they get it wrong, and what they're doing is actually doing a lot of damage.
But I did like the moment when they attempt to explain the science of it with their little visual system, and it just reminds me of watching all of the things on TNG where
Of course.
they're explaining it to you, and then you glance over it, and in very simple terms, they're just moving a little ship across that, and there's a gravity well, and it goes down, and then you're like, oh, okay.
There we go. That makes sense. I'm a visual learner. That makes complete sense.
Yeah, exactly.
I love that so much. I love Mariner's explanation. Like, none of it really makes sense, but that felt like TNG to me. That felt like, just tell me the words. That's fine. I actually really did like I geeked out so much. The mini warp jump is so cool. I love that when they're like, we need to catch up to them, or we need to do like a micro warp jump, but we can't do that because of this reason. And they're like, increase the gravity, and then they won't matter because we weigh more, and that's fine. And then she gets like squashed and pancaked. And then the graphic of what's the name of the ship? I wrote it down. The Anaximander, which, what a fucking cool name for a ship. Jumps into warp, just like a little zip, and then jumps out. There's like an extra thud as it jumps into warp. That was like, whoa, yeah, let's go. Give me some sound effects. Ooh, that was a thunk when you went to warp. I loved it.
I don't know if that was the engine thunking or
could have been me.
Poor Mariner's body just crunching against the floor a little bit extra.
Turn it off. But I love that so much. So good. And the Anaximander is such a great name. It's a reference to, I Googled it, a Greek philosopher that predates like Socrates, and one of the very, very first written people to say, hey, what if we're not the only planet? What if the sun is actually a thing out there? What if we're all floating around in this thing called space? Like, he was one of the very first people to say, hey, what if there's other worlds out there? So yeah, very, 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 very cool name. Love it. Love it, love it, love it, love it, love it.
I've never heard that name before. And I think we should all be very sad that it's one of the names that hasn't really like kicked back up again. So, I'm going to go ahead and guess that there are some Star Trek lovers out there that are about to have a baby, and they're like, you know what? This is it.
Anaximander. Especially when like Boimler calls it the Manda or so. He shortens it to something like the Annex or the Manda, or like it
needs to be Nax.
Yeah, Nax. Oh,
Instead of Max, call it Nax.
What else have we got? I'm just going to quickly look through my notes.
Oh, yeah, I will
don't get proverbially crucified for missing something.
I will look through my notes as well. Oh, I did have this random thought. When the episode opens up and our beloved crew are like in 10 forward all chatting, and Rutherford is messing with his eyepiece, and then they're like, we've all died. Like, look over at Shax, for example. And then we glance over at him, and he's making these noises and stabbing at his plate or whatever. Yeah. I recently started playing Plants vs. Zombies again. Have you ever played that?
I love that game so much.
How long has it been since you've played it?
Like 10 years. I didn't play the second one. I know there's a second one, a sequel that came out.
I got the OG one out, and side note, riddled with ads. Super disappointed. But
that's annoying.
There is the guy who runs the shop, and he kind of goes,
the like hillbilly kind of guy.
Yes, exactly like Shax. And because I just played it, I was like, all of a sudden in my head I started hearing dun 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 dun.
Oh, I love that music. It's so good.
Anyway.
Yes. Oh my god, that game is so good. So good.
When I heard Shax make his whatever noise he made, that did not leave my brain for quite some time.
That's amazing. We end obviously on a cliffhanger. I love Boimler's it was so predictable, but Boimler freaking out and screaming at the end was glorious.
Oh yes.
I like I think the handoff is really, really clever, because we do get our final episode with the crew. So how do you feel about the cliffhanger and diving into next week's episode?
I think this is an amazing handoff for a final episode to end the entire series, because it's not going to start the episode off that the stakes are high. And we already know that what we're watching next week is the first time that they knew it was the end. So
Yeah.
I wonder what storytelling we're going to be seeing play out, if they're going to slow the pace a bit and make it more heartfelt, or I don't know.
It's
I don't.
interesting, isn't it?
I don't really know what. I don't know what to expect, but it's a really fun handoff. Like,
Yeah.
that this is like the little, two-parter. So I don't think they can go wrong. Even if they decided to kill everybody, I think it would be hilarious.
Yeah, you
Because
said, like, before we started the show, wouldn't it be amazing if they didn't succeed? And that's
why the show
explanation for
ends.
Lower Decks not continuing.
Yes.
Yeah, they lose.
But I think that would be a brilliant play, because I think that they would do something like that. I think that they would have everybody like lovingly coming together at the end and be like, it's been fun. And then it blows up and it's like, thanks for the show.
Thanks
because
for
they just, they have that kind of air of like, yeah, who the fuck cares? Let's just fucking do it, you know?
Yeah, it would kind of tie a bow in it. You might. So there was one line that tweaked me. Harry, one of the Harrys said, wait, so there are universes with more than 2 dimensions, which is animation is, as we look at it, 2 dimensions. Like the way that it's drawn is 2-dimensional. So is he acknowledging that his universe is animated? Because then he's acknowledging that there are dimensions where there's a 3rd dimension, like live action. So that for me felt like, if he lives in a 2-dimensional existence, that means he knows he's drawn pen on paper, but he knows like that's what his universe is. Because the 3rd dimension, you've got height, width, and depth. So he's missing one of those dimensions, which I believe it would be depth. So yeah, that was like interesting to me, that maybe that was a subtle acknowledgement that Lower Decks is the only difference between the Lower Decks universe and the Star Trek we know is that it's 2 dimensions. The only bit that undoes that for me is those old scientists where Boimler isn't like, hey, I'm 3-dimensional now. Like, he would absolutely mention that if that was the case. But it just planted that seed that maybe Lower Decks is a different reality, and it maybe next week is the end. Maybe it does get blown up. Like, I think that's on the cards. I think that is really, really possible.
It's wild to think that I'm most excited to find out if they're all going to die.
Yeah.
But that is what they just handed to us. So
really
now it's really something to consider. And I've joked around about, I wonder if someone's going to finally die, you know, not necessarily just in this show, but in all the shows. And it's sort of a running gag in my brain, but maybe it's actually going to come to fruition. But no matter what, I think I'm excited to see where the show is going to land. I feel a sense of sadness and loss, as I talked about, you know, before we watched the episode, in a way, like when something good comes to an end and, you know, you're not going to be able to, like a restaurant closes because I am a Mooglamite person.
You're a cloacan.
I'm cloacan.
Cloacan, yeah.
I'm a Miggly Moo, and you know you're not going to get to go back and taste that dish that you loved, but you still are glad that you had a chance to try it at all. So it's bittersweet, but I'm excited about it. I think they're probably going to end up saving the day. I think we're probably going to end up, you know, getting to see some interesting kind of like, here's what your future looks like. Maybe is it a flash forward before they die? Like they just sort of like in their last breath, they're all holding hands, and then they think about like their best case scenario, and then they all go to the holodeck and they just die. Thinking,
Man, if we get,
I don't know.
It would be crazy.
So dark.
It's so dark. That would be wild. I want to mention something that Link just mentioned in the chat, which would be, what if they will get blown into another universe and they all become live action? What if at the end of this episode we have a scene with all of them live action for real? That would blow, because everyone kind of looks like their characters. I don't think that's an accident. Like, I mean, there's a couple of exceptions.
The cat doctor.
Ta'ana, thank you. Yes, yeah. Miggly Moo, Dr. Ta'ana would be. Shax kind of looks like his actor. It's possible.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be, well, we talked about blowing the budget on this one. That would blow the budget, especially if we get like a live action Cerritos. There's too much. There's so much potential. I mean, yeah, I'm really excited, and I think I might cry. I can see it bringing me to tears.
Every single time a season, like something comes to an end, we say it's never going to be good enough.
Yeah.
It's just we have to accept the story that they want to tell. We can always think of something that we would prefer a little bit more.
Going to be high. Yeah.
But if they go to a future where Boimler and Mariner have a baby together, I will shit my pants.
Not a chance. Not a chance. No one's even writing that fan fiction.
Please don't do it.
They won't.
Please don't.
Not even possible.
Do it.
I mean,
it is possible. If she can have children and he can have children, it is possible.
I refuse. It is not possible.
I just hope they don't do like...
They won't.
If they're going to put a happy bow on it, fine, whatever. But please don't make it the... And they have a family and they're happy ever after. Like, I hope it's not that.
No, it's not. The title is, we should have mentioned this earlier, but The New Next Generation. So
they do have a baby. God damn it. For God's sake. Oh my God. If they have a baby, Ian...
Stop it. But the new Next Generation does make me think there's gonna be like a
baby.
It's so no, it's so loaded. Like, because you're talking about Star Trek: The Next Generation, the new Next Generation is so loaded with like expectation. Like, how is it going to tie into the old shows?
Like, what if the new Next Generation is that they launch a new show at the end that they've completely kept secret?
It would be, I would love that.
I would cry.
If this like transitions
so
into
happy.
if the reason Lower Deck season 5 is ending is because we're going to have a live action show of these guys on a new ship.
We have to stop. We have to stop. We have to stop because there's nothing better than what we're going to make. Yeah. We're going to make it worse.
Wait, we have to stop. Kept this under the radar.
We got to go to the Sins. We need to, let's go to the Sins.
We've done the predictions completely out of order.
Shut this shit down.
I didn't even mean for this to be predictions, but there we go. There's our prediction section.
We have to stop
Pips,
now.
Before we go into Sins, Pips. How many Pips? It's
7
4,
Pips.
Of course.
How many? Four. Okay,
Pips,
yeah, it's a 4 pipper. It's a definitely. This is an awesome episode.
All of them. Love it. Yeah. 4 Pips, everyone. 4 Pips. It will take me maybe 2 seconds to do this. Let's quickly head over to engineering for some Sins. Battle Stations Red Alert. This is the part of the show where we re-engage our sin brains, remind ourselves that no TV shows without sin, even our beloved Star Trek. Ambassador, do you have anything?
It was when Mariner popped up on screen. It really pissed me off, and I'm like, "Does this happen? Am I missing? Am I misremembering?"
Right, sorry, no. It happens in Voyager, but there's a functional reason for it because this is at a point where the Doctor can't move around the ship. So if he wants to be involved in briefings, like, he's a bit shady to begin with because he would pop up on a screen in their observation lounge and saying, since I wasn't invited, I decided to listen myself and pop in. And this is at a point where they're just like, he's just a hologram. It doesn't matter. They don't really respect him because he wasn't intended to be the chief medical officer. He's only there because their doctor dies in episode 1. So he will pop up on screen and then they deliberately invite him and then he'll pop up on the bridge as well and just like, I'm here, I have an answer. So that's the only reference that I have for it. Usually we're used to it in TNG or like in the original series where Scotty or Geordie will pop up and be like, Captain, can you take any more? Or the engine's going to blow, because that's cheaper than filming something that you then have to put on screen. Is my answer to that.
Okay.
I will get shot for this metaphorically, but there was a little bit of relationship drama skip between Garak and Bashir.
Right.
I know we're exampling that relationship continues. They argue, but it was a bit too much. And the thing that they argued about was a little bit inconsequential. They would have like really deep philosophical arguments on Deep Space Nine, and you love to see it, love it. And I know this is deliberate, like this is showing, well, this is how they would argue about the mundane things in life and living together, and this is how they would exist. There was just a fraction too much for me, just a little bit skippable. I was like, this isn't adding much to the story. Cut, trim.
Here's a sin from Sci-Fi Brony. A holographic hypospray works. And there is some discussion about this apparently on our Discord.
Wait, why was the hypospray holographic?
Hypospray? I don't know.
I don't.
Did
I
it?
didn't think it was holographic.
Well, this is the conversation happening. I'm just going to mention it. Here's another one from David who says, when Curzon died, we did not find out that there was a multiverse Jadzia on board so we could have a Terry Farrell cameo.
That would have been great, having
Right.
Jadzia, Terry Farrell come back. But again, similar to Jolene Blalock, didn't leave on the best of terms.
I thought this one in the moment too, wondering why can Rutherford's implant make a huge beam of plasma? How and what? How? What? Why?
Why? So dangerous. And why isn't everyone ducking immediately in case it goes off again?
Crazy.
Like he needs
Rip it
to
off.
look like skywards or like
Take it
cover it up or
Remove it.
Yeah, stop it.
Take it off.
Stop it.
Yeah.
What else did I have? This was a fun one. We've got an emergency holographic doctor. Why isn't there an emergency holographic engineer for this dangerous situation? Like, nobody should have to stay behind in engineering to do the thing when you can have an emergency hologram do it, which is what happens because holographic Fissure turns up and says, I can do it. Which just makes me ask the question, why don't you already have one of those for engineering?
Begs the question.
Yeah.
Let's see. I'll pick up another one from. Do you have any more? How many more do you have?
I got a couple more.
Okay. Let's see. I'll go back and see if there's any from before too, because I saved some. Here's a sin removal from Flyboy earlier. I'm going to remove 5 sins for the guest cast.
Yes.
Garrett Wang, Andrew Robinson, Alexander Siddig, Alfrey,
Yep.
Woodard, and Jolene, who dropped her name for the sake of privacy, all
interesting.
reprising their roles. Not 5, but 6 sin removals.
Love it. It was it was incredible. Like to orchestrate all of those people coming back together. And I'm always curious, like, did they have lots of different permutations and these were the people they could agree to come back? Did some people say no? Were some people too expensive? Like, you've got to write this story and then potentially be ready to insert different characters in there. And I think you can do that with most of this. Like, I can imagine T'Pol being someone else in that role. Yeah, really, really, really cool. Getting Lily back is the big one. Like that's so cool. I've got just in general the Lieutenant Kim's logic and plan is bonkers crazy. Like his logic is that he can take all of these Kims back to his universe where they'll automatically get promoted. That's dumb. That's insane. And he's betting his life on it. He's like, it's a huge risk. Like he's going to be a criminal on the run now. Like, I don't know why he thinks this plan is a good plan or has a hope of working. Like, what if his Kims are all not promoted for a reason? What if it wasn't the universe's fault? What if it's the Kim's fault? So yeah, I didn't like his villain plan. I'm glad we didn't spend too much time on it. And I'm glad it was kind of like a product of circumstance rather than a premeditated, it was Kim all along kind of thing. Yeah.
Another sin removal from Flyboy. The quote being, I'm a surgeon, but not just. And then the sin removal is such a Deep Space Nine Garrick line from the LD writers, and it was delivered to perfection.
Also, the live chat, you are misunderstanding the sins section. This is sins. This isn't sin removals.
Hey, we do sin-offs.
This isn't the stuff we like.
We do sin-offs around here.
We've had the good stuff.
Okay, fine. Here's another one. Sin removal. The throwaway
Stop
Tuvix
it.
reference. Sin, the Tuvix debate. Okay.
The Tuvix debate continues. I've only got, I mean, there's, of course, lots of silly ones that I'm sure are in there if I watched it again, but I had such a good time. It really was hard to find the nitpicky stuff. It was a little bit jarring that Curzon, so blatantly bad at his job, like, insubordinate, firing, like, you can argue with your captain, firing fucking weapons in the middle of a void and disabling the ship, way out of line. Like, way out of line. That's a terrible helmsman, security officer, tactical officer. So bad, so naughty.
So bad.
Bad
so
Curzon.
Yeah.
I love this episode so much. It was so much fun. I think that brings us to the end of that. Everyone, please send us some mail, send us some messages, send us something too. captainspod@cinemasins.com. We have made the shift over to Blue Sky, so you can find us captainspod@bluesky.social, I believe it is. But if you search for Captainspod, we'll be in there. And join our lovely CinemaSins Discord. To join all of the lovely Trek fans, it's discord.gg/CinemaSins. We'll be back at the same time in your podcast feed next Wednesday for the Lower Decks finale. And next week, we will explain kind of like what the Christmas period, the holiday period is going to look like for the Captain's Pod podcast feed, and what the next kind of few episodes after Lower Decks are going to be all about as well. Anything else to plug, Ambassador?
Yeah. Quick question. Is it 11 o'clock on Saturday that we're going to go live?
For the live show, if you're joining us for that next week.
I want to do it. I want to say it.
Go for it. Do it. You do it. Do it.
I was just being silly. But is it live at 11?
11 o'clock on Saturday,
Okay.
yeah.
I would plug that we're going to have our live show for the finale on Saturday the 21st at 11 Central, and you can watch live from the CinemaSins podcast network on YouTube, or you can watch us on Twitch, which is twitch.tv/ is it twitch.com?
TV.
Yeah, twitch.tv/ CinemaSins live if you want to join us for the live show on Saturday.
And you get to see stuff like that.
Don't know what that is, but yes.
Check out the live recording of this on YouTube to find out what that was.
The panels of my starship keep falling.
Just literally everything falling down. It's amazing. It was perfect timing. 11 a.m. just in case anyone thought we were going to do this at 11 p.m.
Yeah, 11 a.m. Central, Saturday the 21st. We will be talking about the final episode of Lower Decks if you are able to join us.
That would be amazing. We'd love to see it. Okay. That's it. Until next week, I'm Captain Ian, and damn you too, Pip Kim.
Was it fucking Kim? Is that what they said?
It was like fucking Kim's.
And it's thanks to insubordination we have landed.
Amazing. Live long and Podspur, everyone.
Yay!
I love that episode so much. That was so fun.
It was fun.
I loved it.
I'll be right back. I gotta go take the dogs. I'll be right back.
You gotta go take the dogs. Where is she taking them? I think she's gonna take them. She's talking to me even though she's backstage. I wonder if she can still hear me. Is she gonna rejoin? We still can't hear you.
Hi.
You back? I just see you wittering away in the background.
Shut up.
No one can hear you.
Shut up. I'm taking my dogs out to go to the bathroom.
Oh, to the butt, right? Not literally taking them out. Like,
You gonna kill my dogs?
Well, you said take them
What's
out.
wrong with you, man?
They do bark a lot. It does have a get duct tape. Brutal. I'm really, really sorry that you're not going to be able to spend time with your partner's family, because clearly you're picking the live show over going to see them. But I appreciate you taking one for the team and doing that instead. Yeah. Correct. 11 a.m. instead of 12:30 p.m. I think I've updated it in the Discord events thingy. Lord of the Rings time. I guess I've got it right here since it keeps falling down. Let's see if I can find the page before Ambassador comes back. I will, if somebody wants to buy me a bookmark, that would be amazing. Here we go. We'll see if we can get one paragraph slipped in. But so far, trouble had not come. And as for Mr. Baggins was generous with his money, most people were willing to forgive him his oddities and his good fortune. He remained on visiting terms with his relatives, except, of course, the Sackville Bagginses, and he had many devoted admirers among the hobbits of poor and unimportant families. But he had no close friends until some of his younger cousins began to grow up. One paragraph at a time will be done by the time we catch up with the Dune universe, I think. More sins! More! Do we have more? I think we do. Let's have a look. It's like Galaxy Quest, only fissures. It's very true. Let's see, what else have we got? Sin removal, big Starfleet nerd. What about us? Did someone call? Yeah, we are all big Starfleet nerds. I think the show knows that. This is so good. I didn't know this, Phil. Garrick's actor played him as someone who just wanted to fuck Bashir, and producers told him to tone it down. I love that so much. He definitely had come hither eyes at Bashir. That's such a cool way to choose to play the character. Andrew Robinson is amazing. He's so fun. Also, according to Andrew Robinson, oh yeah, okay, sorry, I'm repeating the same thing. Sorry, guys. Wondering, obviously thinks the same. This is a good question. How does Q work with the multiverse? I really wonder that as well. Like, for some reason, are the Q limited to just their individual universes? Like, is that a limit of their power? So yeah, it's really... There has to be some rule there, or else there's just... Why wouldn't Q fuck around with a version of Picard? Or maybe he does fuck around with a lot of different versions of Picards. It's a good question. They just kind of ignore it a little bit. It's a question I would hope somebody will eventually ask Q. That would be really cool. Do you think Q works with the multiverse ambassador?
Works with?
Yeah, or does
I don't think
are they
Q works
limited?
with anything. I think Q...
Yeah. But do you think they just ignore the fact that there's a multiverse, or do you think that they're messing with the multiverse as well?
So like Qs exist outside of multiverse space and time and can manipulate them?
Or are they just in their own universe and can't travel between them?
Well, I think anything can travel between if there's rifts that are created. So it's possible to travel between.
But without the rifts.
Oh, I see.
Just as the Q.
Are they interdimensional?
Yeah.
Do they have interdimensional capabilities? Do they have their powers in every single one of these multiverses?
This is a good way to put it. Is it the same Q across all realities, or is there a parallel Q for each reality?
Mm-hmm. I think it would break their canon if it was one Q for all. I think that's too much of a godlike character. I think that would be Qs for each. Otherwise, I think the question is like, well, then what makes this particular, like, such a superior version?
Yeah.
Which brings in the religion kind of aspect. I think it's a little too much.
Crazy. Ling, did the Qs evolve, or are they always a godlike being? According to the Q that we've talked to, they did used to be corporeal beings that ascended to become the Q that we know.
Perhaps we should check the Q FAQ.
Oh! Q fact. Way. Nice. Man, when I was a kid, I spent so much time on Games FAQ. Like, that was like the early internet Wikipedia for video games. That's like, it had the answers. I loved that. It was so good.
Nerd.
Yep. Lloydie has a prediction. Robotford's Eye will come back next episode with the plasma stuff. I think that makes sense. Otherwise, why bring it up?
Well, and he also brought up he's been trying to phase back in with the system of the computer, and that hasn't happened. So,
Rutherford's going to die. And
yeah.
his consciousness will be uploaded to the computer.
Yes. Let's hope.
What? You love Robotford. You don't want him dead.
Sarah, no.
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 Don't touch Rutherford.
Don't kill him.
Yes, I saw this one. I think I put this one up on screen during the show. I think we kind of tried to cover that too during the show. Just like the why is it the Kims? So I hope you enjoyed our chat.
Danae, did you have a data moment in this episode where you screamed? There was no screaming. There was lots of like oohs and ahs from Ian and like questions. I was like, ooh, And when Lily turned up, I was like, oh my God, I geeked out a bit.
Have we ever? Yeah, I don't remember, but I haven't seen all the episodes, so I just assume I don't know. But I don't remember him being able to connect to the computer. But he did say, like, I haven't been able to do it again or something like that.
Yeah, I don't remember that.
Yeah, where did the Q entities come from? They do reproduce as mentioned in Voyager, but do they ever die of natural death? Well, have you seen Picard?
As far as we know, they don't, but our Q in Picard did for whatever reason. But no, they're meant to be omnipotent, immortal beings that just keep going.
I like that you had this moment wondering. That's, I think, how it was. It's fun to see Mariner's reaction mirrored in your own, which I think I've enjoyed when Boimler, reacts to Riker or something. So
yeah. It was so fun. I was so happy to see her on the bridge. It warmed my heart. It really did.
Let's see. What would your transporter clones name themselves? I think mine would probably try to go for something as epic as that pre-Socrates sort of Socrates.
Anaximander?
What's Socrates? Who called him Socrates? Was that on Bill and Ted?
Oh, Bill and Ted.
Yeah.
Socrates. Socrates is anus.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'd want to do something like that.
Yeah.
I've always liked the really long names. Always.
One of my favorite names is Ethan, and it's so similar to Ian that I think my transporter clone would just be Ethan. I was like, oh yeah, that's similar. Yeah.
So you would just go with your own name,
Ethan.
but
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Very.
Same amount of syllables as well.
I'd take Danae and make it something
middle.
like really like intricate and
No, I'm just adding TH to the middle of mine. Ethan.
like, I just don't want to think about that. It took me over a month to realize your Baldur's Gate character is just your name in a different order.
Yeah, my character's name is Nai, N-A-I. I just reversed my name.
And I didn't even notice it until a few weeks ago.
Yeah, naming doesn't do much. When I'm writing stories, creating character names is my least favorite thing to do. Like I want it to have too much meaning.
Then your clone could go by your first name. Yeah. So then that would be interesting. What if I had a clone and I gave it this name, or it gave itself this name, but then everyone just called it by the middle name, which was something like super simple.
I'd be amazed. Sam.
It's Nai, N-A-I.
Yeah. Nai.
Yeah. We are in we're in Baldur's Gate finally in our game.
Finally got into Baldur's Gate. 180 hours into the game and we've arrived at Baldur's Gate. And we were immediately overwhelmed and went underground because there was too much. There was too much. It was like this huge shopping mall and we decided to pick some back alley market because it was smaller.
We got into the city and it's just like, no. This is
too much.
Too many people to talk to. Like, this screen is littered with quests that we're supposed to, like, it's just too overwhelming.
Yeah.
And so we go into this room to check, like, just to start to do because both Ian and I are thorough dungeon crawlers.
Yeah.
We want to see the
Everything
entirety.
I want to speak to it. Everything I think it's to put in there.
Probably bad. I don't know either. Like, I guess it just depends on what you're comparing it to.
Yeah.
Maybe some
it's
people.
a lot. 180 hours of sitting at the computer playing a video game. It's a lot.
Your clone would choose Peter Poole because he's pretentious. I like it.
Mm-hmm.
So we go into like the first room, which leads into a room that has like a jail cell. So we're going to look at the jail cell. And then in the back of the jail, there is literally an opening to the sewer.
There's a poop chute.
And we're like, okay. And we go down there and it's a nice dungeon crawl. And we're like, even though it smells like all the shit from the city down here, it sure is nice to not be around all those people.
There's a couple of like zombies we know we can kill. And it's like we should just play Super Mario. Like we don't really want an open world game. We want to just be on rails.
Can you imagine if we did an open world game?
Completely, thoroughly open world, like Elder Scrolls, we would be paralyzed.
I don't know if I would like that. I don't know if I would like that at all.
Yeah.
Yeah. We also had a couple of fun moments where once again we were like, God, we should be streaming this.
Yeah,
So
we really should. It's so funny because we we like snuck up on a group of people that were clearly evil because the way you could tell is that they were like Nightbringer something, and they were firing on characters that were called refugees.
that's what it was for me. I was like, oh, we need to save these refugees.
Yeah, you're the bad guys. The refugees, we know the refugees are the good guys here. We sneak up, we blow them the fuck up, and then once we finish, Danae's character, who is a paladin, gets a vision from whatever their deity is that says, we'll be talking tonight, Missy, Oathbreaker. I'll be waiting for you at the end of the day.
Because you've broken your oath, paladin. And I'm like, what?
All because we didn't talk to them first.
But then we restarted it because we didn't want that to happen. And we're breaking the game that way. That's how we're choosing to play. So we restart it because that's obviously not something that even if we were to role play it, my character would never have intentionally done that. And so let's just start it over again because it was just a super squishy battle. We just annihilated these people so quickly.
Matter.
So we just walk up on them, and literally all it is we walk up on them and they just go attack, and they just attack us. There was no conversation to have. Nope. There was no face to save at all. We just missed a surprise round.
Yeah, they instigated it. That's what we had to wait for. The other thing is, I did accidentally kill one of the refugees, so I'm wondering if that's what triggered your god.
We will never know.
Yeah. I definitely blew up one of them by mistake.
Well, there's the stuff I can talk about all day long is that kind of stuff because, well, I don't know Star Trek like you guys do, but I do know how to play some video games and have a good time.
Yeah, you do.
We should do what we should test our computers and see how we would actually stream it though. Because that could be kind of fun. It would take us a little more effort to figure out how to show you guys what we're doing since our computer setups have changed over the last year. Mm-hmm. But it could
I think I could get it into Streamlabs pretty easily.
We could
the audio will be the only tricky bit with our new Rode devices because us communicating and not getting echo in the game is the tricky bit. Like if I'm just streaming a game, it's easy, but piping in Danae's audio is tricky and vice versa.
There have been a couple of times that we have played and I know we're about to log out and I'm just like, fuck this person, and then just attack people and kick off a fight just for fun because I know we're not going to come back to that reality. So you had 216 hours in it on a PS and now you started on a PC. Yeah. We are definitely just we're definitely taking our time and being thorough.
Mm-hmm. Super duper thorough.
Yeah.
Lots of selling shit as well.
Lots of selling shit.
Well, we love you guys. We'll see you for our final live show of the year on Saturday. Thank you as always for joining us. Anybody who can't join us anymore because we're shifting away from Fridays, we love you. We hope to see you on like Discord and in the emails and whatnot. We'll still be lots of ways to get in touch with us and connect.
Yeah. And thank you for your support. Please continue to tell people about Captain's Pod as a podcast that they might be able to enjoy. The best way that we can share our show is through word of mouth. And so if you're on any Star Trek groups, like I've noticed there's lots of ways that you can find Star Trek friends, online little communities and stuff. Kick up a conversation about your favorite podcasts and drop us a recommendation to those people. And hopefully they enjoy us too. And we will see you guys on Saturday. Bye.
Love you guys.
Have a good weekend. Bye.
We have a video at the end that says what's happening on the next show, and if you keep staring at it, the picture keeps moving longer than you think it should. Like it tripped me out. So stare at it for a long time. It moves and then it stops moving, but it keeps moving.
What are you talking about?
You'll find out. End the stream.